You have been told that the best men rise. That power, in the end, finds the ones who deserve it, the sharpest mind, the steadiest hand, the one who earned the room. Then look at the marble floor of Caligula's court. Rome's finest generals are on their knees, praising a young man who could have them dead before the evening meal. The order was not broken that day. It was working exactly as power tends to work, and almost no one will tell you why. Caligula was not a brilliant man. The records that survive him, Suetonius, Cassius Dio, men who despised him and wrote long after his body was cold, describe a ruler who was erratic, cruel, perhaps unwell. Hold their portraits at arm's length. They were composed to damn him, not to understand him. But strip the theatre away, and something colder remains underneath, something the hostile pen could not have invented because it was simply true of the seat he occupied. The most capable men in the empire, soldiers who had held frozen frontiers, senators who had governed provinces larger than kingdoms, now spent their days studying the mood of a man less able than any of them. They laughed when he wished to be amusing. They agreed when he was plainly wrong. They praised in public what they found grotesque in private. Watch one of them, a general who had commanded legions, who had stood at the edge of the known world and held order together with nothing but his own nerve. Now he stands in a warm room in Rome, choosing each word like a man testing ice over a river, because one wrong sentence, even a true one, especially a true one, could be the end of him. His competence is no advantage here. It is a danger. Every quality that made him excellent in the field makes him suspect at court. He knows too much. He commands the loyalty of men. He could, if he ever decided to, be more than he is permitted to be, and that is precisely the problem. Here is the pattern, and once you have seen it, you will not stop seeing it. Power does not fear the weak, it fears the capable. The mediocre man who rules is not kept awake by the fool beneath him. He is kept awake by the brilliant one, because brilliance is the single thing he cannot command, cannot counterfeit, and cannot survive being measured against. But that is not the part that should disturb you. The part that should disturb you is that this is not a flaw in the system. It is the system doing what it was built to do. An unstable throne cannot afford excellence around it. Excellence is independent. It has its own standards, its own sense of what is true, its own quiet refusal to pretend. A ruler who is not secure in himself does not want men like that near him. He wants men who need him. He surrounds himself with the loyal and the limited, and he pushes the excellent to the edges or beneath the ground. Caligula did this openly, with executions and humiliations, because he could. Most of the men who inherit his instinct do it with a smile and a reorganization. Nietzsche saw this clearly, and he gave it a name worth carrying with you: resentiment, not ordinary envy, something slower, more patient, more organized. Resentment is what the weak feel toward the strong when they cannot win by the strong man's rules, so they quietly change the rules. Unable to be excellent, they make excellence into a threat. Unable to rise by merit, they build a world in which merit is the very thing that gets you removed, and obedience is the thing that gets you kept. The mediocre do not resent the brilliant for failing. They resent them for succeeding at something that cannot be seized by force or faked by flattery. And resentment, Nietzsche understood, is not idle. It is creative. It invents entire moral languages to justify itself. It learns to call the brilliant man arrogant, difficult, not a team player, a risk. So the general kneels, not because he is a coward, but because he has understood the arithmetic of the room. In a court ruled by fear, the safest thing to be is useful and unremarkable. The most dangerous thing to be is irreplaceable and admired. So the capable men learn to make themselves smaller. They hide the edge of their competence, the way a man hides money in a bad neighborhood. They let the emperor be the cleverest person present, even when he is not, especially when he is not. And in doing so, they hand him the very thing that keeps him above them, the illusion that he belongs there. This is where the history stops being history, because you have watched this happen, not in a palace, in an office, in a family, in a room you were sitting in last week. You have seen the talented one passed over for the one who flatters well. You have watched the person who actually does the work explain it slowly to the person who will take the credit. You have felt, maybe, the small pressure to dim yourself in front of someone who could not bear your full light, to ask the question you already knew the answer to let them correct you. to perform a smallness you did not feel, because being right in front of the wrong person is expensive. You called it politics. You called it keeping the peace. You were watching resentment run the room, and you were paying it tribute. And here is the colder turn, the one people spend their lives avoiding. It is not only done to you, there is a version of it in you. When someone near you is plainly better, sharper, freer, more alive, something in you tightens. A small voice looks for the flaw, reaches for the diminishing word, feels a private relief when they stumble. That voice is not evil. It is old and human and nearly universal. Nietzsche's gift was not to condemn it. It was to make you able to see it working, in the court and in yourself, so that it can no longer move you without your consent. Because the tragedy of Caligula's court was not only the mad emperor, it was the brilliant men who agreed to be ruled by him. Every capable person who chooses to shrink teaches the mediocre that the strategy works. Every excellence that apologizes for itself widens the space for those who have none. The order inverts not only because the unfit grasp for power, but because the fit, tired and afraid, decline to hold it. So watch the rooms you enter now. Notice who is rewarded and who is quietly removed. Notice when the reason given is competence and when the reason given is comfort. Notice the moment you are asked to be less than you are, and by whom and why. You do not have to become bitter. Bitterness is just resentment pointed at yourself. You only have to see it. See that the man on the throne is often there because the better men decided kneeling was safer than standing. The mediocre do not rise because the world is blind to brilliance. They rise because brilliance, left unguarded, is the easiest thing in the world to resent and the easiest thing to remove. Caligula did not invent that law. He only made it impossible to look away from. Guard your excellence, then not by hiding it, but by refusing to apologize for it in front of those who would rather you didn't have it at all.